Let's do the cloud. Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, you guys. I'm so excited. We have been talking about having this conversation for a minute, and I finally pulled time and topics together so that we could really have some good conversations. So, as everybody knows, I'm Shelley Rawlings, and I am hosting this series called Unleashed, Real Talk, Real Conversation. And the reason I came up with it is because over the years, and most recently the last year or so, I just feel, particularly in our community, as we're talking about health, that we are very ginger about what we can say, to whom we can say, what words we can and can't use. And it feels very uncomfortable to me. And I feel like there's got to be a place or a way that we can just take that off, like remove it, unleash ourselves, and just have some good conversations. So I wanted to have some good girlfriends here, but I wanted to also bring people from the health community, because we're all passionate about health, and I'm gonna let you ladies introduce yourselves in a minute, but we're all passionate about health, and particularly in our communities. I mean, you all see what I see, probably much more with your backgrounds. And I'm frustrated. I'll be honest with you. I'm very frustrated by some of the things that I see that I can't change, that I know are avoidable. Right. And so I want you all to introduce yourselves, and then we're just going to talk, because I got some burning things I need to get off my chest. So Marla, why don't you start?
Okay. My name is Marla, and I am a healthcare professional. Been doing clinical research for about 25 years, rare diseases, vaccines, immunology, and virology. But through the years, I've worked with a gamut of things in doctors' offices and things, and just am very passionate about healthcare, women's health, just African Americans in general, the things that we have as stigmas that affect the way that we treat ourselves as it relates to our health, whether we do or don't seek treatment. And so this was perfect for me to come and sit and talk. Good. I will have to mind myself, because there's just a lot of things on my mind and on my heart as well. So I'm grateful to be able to chat.
Good, good. And, you know, we go way back.
Yes.
Way back. And we've seen some stuff within our families, with our friends. You know, we have often talked offline just about some of the crazy things that we see and we just feel helpless about. So
yeah, that are seemingly unbelievable, right?
Yeah. So Miss Lolita.
Hi, and thank you for having me. My name is Lolita Jacinto, and I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 33 years. That tells my age. But I've done a lot in nursing. I've worked in med-surg oncology. I've done a lot of home care. I've done some therapeutic bed sales. And currently, for the past 20 years, I've been in labor and delivery. And so I'm very passionate about healthcare. I think from a little girl, I first wanted to be a physician. But when I volunteered, as a candy striper, I saw that the nurses really did all the work and showed all the compassion that I'm like, I don't want to be a physician. I want to be a nurse, because I know that, I just had that special ability to comfort and heal. And, in our communities, we have a lot of disparities. So I try to do what I can do to do a lot of education and that sort of thing. So that's where my passion lies.
No, absolutely. And, Lolita, you and I have had conversation as well.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Months ago. And it was like the best venting session, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in health. We have, my husband and I have a health and wellness consultancy firm. We have grown up as athletes. Our children are athletes. So we've always had sort of this healthy lifestyle.
Right.
But we're older now, so we have to ratchet it up. And some of the things that I could kind of get away with
Right. You can't
earlier,
anymore.
I can't get away with anymore.
Right. Your
Metabolism is slowing
changed.
down, things are changing and shifting around, and so it takes extra effort, right? And so it's just interesting. So this is, you know, like I said, it's unleashed. This isn't scripted. I don't have any questions that are outlined. I just want to talk a little bit because honestly, I feel like outside of very specifics, I'll say generally speaking, obviously we're not going to talk about all people and all communities and all women and all men. But I'm just saying in terms of things that I observe, I almost feel like there's a level of cynicism is the word that comes to me, and I'm not even sure if that's the right word, but I know when I talk to people, now that I'm really, really focused on health and wellness every single day, and that's what I live and breathe, and that's how, you know, we earn our income by educating companies and educating people. When I have conversations with friends, even to make general suggestions, it's almost like this, where they get really uptight about it. And I'm trying to figure out what that is. It's not that I'm trying to sell them. You know, I had a girlfriend just ask me a question about her inability to sleep. So I gave her some suggestions, and the response was really bizarre to me, to say the least. You know, so I don't know, do you all kind of feel that sometimes when you're interacting with your friends and your family?
I think there's this whole sense of denial about what's going on with yourselves. I almost wonder, like, are you really looking in the mirror? Like, and what do you see when you look? But I think as a people in general, we've made excuses for our behaviors. We justify overeating because of depression and other things, which is, another conversation, but all around healthcare. And so I think that's what happens. We find ways to justify why we do certain things or why we don't, as it relates to even caring for ourselves, caring for our bodies. And then that's just what people do. And I am always shocked. And similarly, like I have someone close to me that I talk to regularly about weight loss, and there's always one excuse after the other about why not now, right? Some reason for not now. And it's very concerning. And the older I get, the more I realize it. And I almost feel it is really despair, right? Because I care for people, and I really want them to do better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And, I don't know about you all. We're all on social media. The GoFundMes are just taking me out of here, because obviously it's sad when you lose life, right? But when you look at people and you observe their lifestyle, let's just say, and you see, even just overtly without getting into what's going on the inside, and they're not living a healthy lifestyle, and one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, things that could have been prevented are taking them out. You know what I mean? It's just really frustrating more than anything. And I know, Lolita, in a hospital, you've got to see some stuff.
I see a lot of stuff. And one of the main things that I see, when you walk through any hospital's emergency room, a lot of people utilize the emergency room as their primary physician. So when they go, they're treated for whatever acute symptom that they're having, but that's not an overall physical, so I think sometimes things are missed. And as you all said, people, are not as aware of what's going on in their bodies until something breaks,
With that whole emergency room thing, sometimes it trickles back to insurance, or because they don't have a primary care physician, that becomes it. And so they go there, they get the treatment, they follow up or not. And it's that vicious cycle. And then of course it trickles down, because if mom is doing it, then it trickles down to the children.
It's learned behavior almost, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about our community. right? That's where I want to focus. This is our community, the African American community, and we know that we own the rights, unfortunately, to the highest rate of hypertension, in the world, obesity, breast cancer among women, the deaths, diabetes. Like, you all know this. I don't have to throw the numbers out in the stats. And so it's this thing that's happening, and I see nutrition as part of it.
A big part of it,
education, but like, what do we do? Like, what in the world? How can we stop this? Everything is so supersized, and everybody wants something quick. If it's not quick, it doesn't work. If it's not quick, you've lost my attention. I don't get that. Everything that's worth it takes time.
Yeah, and I think this kind of conversation hopefully will help. But the key is the unleashed, because I know sometimes I have tiptoed around things, not wanting to offend or for whatever the justification is. But we can't. Like, we have to say something. We have to do better. Like, myself included. There are things, that I have to watch.
Know better, you do better. And we're not talking that at anybody. We're talking with everybody, because we too, have the same struggles sometimes. There's everything is loaded with sugars. So it takes a certain self-discipline to say, if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, I'm not going to have that, and there are other alternatives, that don't taste bad, that you can have as well. So sometimes, we live in such a fast society, everything's instant, that, self-discipline falls on the wayside sometimes,
Even taught to put it on the wayside. I will tell you, I went to see a dermatologist recently because I want to have a mole removed, totally aesthetics. But put my hair over it right quick. But when you walk in, there's Sonobello, or there's something to freeze the fat. There are all these things. And when I walked in, I went to the desk and I said, am I in the right place? Right? Because I just want to get a mole removed, but I wasn't even sure that the dermatologist could look at that. And then something else like on my arm, my skin, because everything was around aesthetics, and it was, beautiful and pink and flowery, and don't you want to look this way? And, it instantly, like, we'll remove the fat instantly. Right. And that's not teaching discipline. And this is your physician, right? Because so people who are willing to go, but trusting their doctors to provide them with all of this information. And that's how they live their lives. So if you go and the doctor says, I can freeze it off. I mean, I read and lingered and what? No.
And what's crazy is, if you think about the money, right? So some of that stuff is covered by insurance. Some of it's not.
It's not.
Either way, you're coming out of your pocket for something. That money could be put into what you buy at the grocery store. That could be put into your gym membership, or a personal trainer, or a support group that can help you understand how to make right choices. But it's what you said, it's like, it's here and now. If I don't get it, if I don't see results tomorrow, if I can't fit in that dress for Saturday, forget about it.
Right.
Or next week at that wedding I'm in.
Right. And is it a peer pressure thing? Because we all know there's this thing called skinny fat. I mean, you don't have to be obese to be fat, right? I mean, we all know what BMI is and how to measure, how much your fat ratio is to your weight based on your height and all that kind of stuff. I mean, most people do anyway, and the Lolita educate them if not. But I'm just saying, it just feels to me that people will prefer to go up in size to cover versus the work to go down in size.
Right. Yeah.
Is that accurate? Like, what do you all think?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's right on point, but we're living in a society now that doesn't necessarily like the truth.
Right.
When you look at the news or anything else, and, or, if you're on YouTube and, people are talking the truth, you get a little scorned on, but you got all this fake news and all this fake book, everything going on. So a lot of it's just with the society that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And then in our communities, like you can go on a corner and they're like Popeyes, and right across the street there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then McDonald's, and like that stuff's just no good for us.
Right.
But it's so addicting.
Yeah.
That you have to really, really make that commitment, to make that choice to go home and get those meals prepped.
It almost feels like, and I'm going to just say it because I'm hosting Unleashed, it almost feels like it's not cool or it's not sexy, to step away from what the norm is. Away from the peer pressure, right? Because, you see social media, people are freaked out if they can't post every single day something great that they're doing, or every single day some selfie that shows them living their best life, when everybody doesn't live their best life every single day.
Real.
Every single day you don't have these miraculous things happening in your life. But if you're following people, oh my gosh, you're gonna feel like you're not doing anything, because all this glorious, wonderful, stuff is happening all around you. And I think it's the same thing with food and making good choices. It's not cute. It's not sexy.
Right.
I'm gonna go over here and just play in this space because it's easier. It's easier.
Right. I mean, a lot of times, even when I'm in the hospital, if I work labor and delivery, so if I'm with a pregnant patient who has gestational diabetes, and, her blood sugars are out of control. Well, in pregnancy, if your blood sugar stays out of control and your blood sugar rises, you can kill your baby.
Oh, yeah.
So, we bring them in for teaching, and, sometimes they don't like the restrictions, and sometimes I just have to simply say, sometimes we just don't eat for taste. We eat for health.
Right.
And right now you have to eat for health.
You gotta eat for health.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom line.
I think people too, so when you have diagnoses that are unfavorable, like diabetes, like there's this period of disbelief, and then there's, anger, right? And so then you have to either act to manage it. And so people immediately go to, I can cheat a little bit. Oh, well, I had this, let me check my sugar and see what it's like.
Right.
And so I think that it just becomes a vicious cycle, because we're masking it, because you're not going to tell people that the pills that you're taking are for your diabetes. And so you said something earlier about going up in size. And we've talked about this before, where people will say, take a picture from the neck up. They don't want you to see what's going on at the bottom.
Right. You're like, who's that person?
Right. And, Lolita, you mentioned before when we were talking, sometimes just in delivery, women are coming in so obese.
Oh, yeah.
That you're having problems finding a baby.
It's a growing problem. Yeah.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy.
And we have to, order special equipment so that we keep mom comfortable and decent, because it can be uncomfortable,
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, what I want to do in these conversations is just talk where we can share what we see. We can hopefully give some best practices or some ideas, because I don't want this to be just a venting session, because we will vent, because we got some stuff that we got to get out, right? But I also want to help people in another way, because I'm hoping for those people that aren't listening to me, maybe they hear something you say, Lolita or Marla, coming from your vantage point, doing what you do, because we've got to break through somehow, some way.
Yeah. I mean,
fear.
Right.
That main thing, fear. And fear encompasses so many things in our lives and in our community, that it has held us back for so long. It's almost like fear is a learned behavior. And then once you break through, it's like, I can.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, a lot of times, when I'm talking with people, whether, they're at the hospital or, if they're friends and family, being a nurse, a lot of times people refer people to me. Um, and, you kind of start with the basics, because if a person is getting enough sleep, hydrating properly and eating properly, they're going to feel okay, and then you start talking about, well, what are you eating in portions and that sort of thing. um, and then a lot of times I talk about detoxing,
Mhm.
because the foods that we eat is just not like it used to be.
Right. Right.
um, and a lot of people, if you start looking and researching on how they raise cattle and pigs and all that kind of stuff, most people probably have tapeworms and parasites and things of that nature. So I try to tell people, try to detox. I mean, that's real talk. It's
Right. I
really
mean,
real
it's scary
talk,
to even
because
think.
I know a lot of people who consume a lot of meat
Right.
and eat a lot of pork. Or and let's not talk about sushi,
Mm.
you know?
Right.
So if you can purge some of those toxins and kind of do that on a regular, and I say that because I started fasting and trying to, detox. And after at first it's hard, especially when you fast,
Mhm.
but afterwards your body feels so much better.
Right.
It gives you more energy. So I try to engage with people, that way. When I'm at the gym and, people are kind of struggling or, they're new at the gym, I try to encourage those people and being a business owner now, I try to be a little bit more bolder and creating that conversation,
Mhm.
and see what happens.
Right.
And try to touch everybody within my reach anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
Because,
That's good. I like that
I
detox.
can really get real with it, being in the hospital, when someone passes out on you and their heart stops, or in my case, being in labor and delivery, they're really bleeding to death, and I'm literally bleeding to death, and
Mm.
you're pumping on somebody's heart doing CPR. That's real talk.
That's real
And you
talk.
don't want to get there,
Right. Right. Absolutely.
or, with diabetics who, don't want to control their blood sugars and, end up with, amputations. Sometimes you didn't have to be there,
Right.
and those are real stories.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's good. I love it. I love it. I thank you all so much,
mhm.
because I'm hoping that, again, like I said before, we'll have a breakthrough. We're going to post these on YouTube. So I started a
Okay,
YouTube channel, and we're going to keep going. We're going to have another conversation shortly on
sure.
breast cancer, since it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Hmm.
And invite your friends, as we continue to post, and we'll start promoting them, because we want
Sure.
as many people to
Yeah.
hear this stuff. And I
Mhm.
welcome new guests on as well,
Oh,
because I want to
absolutely.
get as many people talking about these
Hmm.
issues so that we can make a difference. So,
Sure.
ladies, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And we'll talk soon, okay?
All
Okay,
right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
Bye.
bye.